Danielle, we snuck away and did this while you were getting your makeup done. We want to congratulate you on your special day, and Nana and I love you very much. And we're just kind of talking about your dad and some stories we have of him and stories about you. So one that I think of, or one that comes to mind, is how you got your name, which is kind of important. Mom, do you remember that? You want to tell that story?
I do. I do. Misty got pregnant, and I always loved the name Daniel and Danielle. We didn't even know what you were going to be. We didn't know if you were going to be a boy or a girl or but I love those names, Daniel and Danielle. Well, you turned out to be a little girl, and then we had a problem with something to go with that.
With Danielle, yeah.
Yeah, we had a problem with the name to go with Danielle. And I looked at your dad. He was sitting over at the table. And this had went on for a while. And I said, this is really simple. I said, Tony, do you plan on having any more kids? And he said, no.
And that was when he was much younger.
Yes, it was. It was when he was much younger. And I said, simple, very simple. Tony Danielle. Problem solved. This baby's name can be Tony Danielle. And that's how you got your name. It's perfect. It has always been perfect. You're so much like him.
Yep, she is. She's a lot like him.
You are so much like him in your mischievousness, your fun, loud, just
aggravating,
just outrageously fun. And that was your daddy. And this is your day. And this is, like we say, just reflecting back on some memories of him and the fun we had with him.
It's crazy how much Josh is like Tony.
Oh.
He's a lot like Tony in certain ways, and that's kind of peculiar.
That was my first comment when I first met Josh. My comment was, oh, Danielle, do you know who he reminds me of so much? And she said, who? And I said, he is so much like your dad. His personality, Tony's personality was like, yeah, I'm good looking. He had no problem with his manhood.
His confidence.
His confidence was...
And he didn't get upset easy. He was very even keel and didn't get upset, and Josh is the same way.
Yeah, and he was, she's so much like him.
But Josh is a lot like him too, kind of.
Josh. And I asked Danielle, I said, has anyone else told you that he reminds you of your dad? And she said no. And I said, I just told you.
Yeah, he does. Another story that comes to mind is when Tony and I were together and we had Danielle. We hadn't had Bailey yet, and she was so spoiled rotten that and to this day, she likes for you to love on her and rub on her and constantly, Josh, you've got your work cut out for you. I think he knows that, but it was always something with her toes. She wanted her toes to be, she would call it pick my toes, and she wanted you to rub her toes.
And her back.
And her back. And she would sleep in the middle of Tony and I, and it would always, he had one foot and I had the other, and it was always, Mama pick my toes and Daddy pick my toes. And she's been a brat from day one. But we love her. She's our brat.
Yeah. And she had this deal, Nana, do my arms.
Rub her arms, yeah.
And it wasn't rub. It was like this, real gently. And she said, no, that's too hard. Just barely do it. Just barely do it. And that had to be done until she went to
Just
sleep.
fell asleep. Yeah, she's still the same
She
way.
was rotten. She's still rotten.
We spoiled her from day one.
She is.
But Buddy Jean played a hand in that too. Buddy Jean Lane.
She cut Buddy
We can't
Jean's hair.
can't forget him.
Buddy Jean cut her. She cut Buddy Jean's hair.
When he was asleep.
He was Tony's, her daddy's daddy, her grandpa, and he spoiled her, and I spoiled her, and Misty said, between you and Buddy Jean Lane, this child will never be able to wipe her tail. And anyway, she called him on the. She was about 3.
And he
She
was
about
asleep.
3-year-old. He was asleep on the couch, and she comes by and she says, "Pa, is it okay if I cut your hair?" And he said, "Mm-hmm." He woke up.
She cut his hair. He
and
didn't
she
even
had
get mad
cut
at her.
She had cut his hair, and he had to go to the barber shop.
Yeah, he
and
wasn't
do
mad
it.
though. He didn't get mad at her.
So
I know he used to. Tony and I lived with Gladys and Buddy Jean, and we had a room in the basement. That was our room, and Danielle slept in there with us. And you would hear him come down the stairs at like 4 a.m. and he would just bust through the bedroom and get, "Where's that baby?" And he would get her up out of her crib immediately and wake her up.
no matter what time it was.
4 a.m. and he would play with her and spend all morning with her, and then he would bring her in there to us and be like, "You got to get up. She wants you to get up." So like 6 o'clock, we would get up and take care of her, and then he was taking a nap mid-morning. We always remember that.
Yeah.
He was an early bird, and he wanted to play with her first thing when he got up. So.
Another memory that I have of her being so little, she was probably like 3. She was probably like 3 years old. And she stayed at the house a lot. Her and her brother, Bailey, Aaron, we call him Aaron now. But anyway, they stayed at the house a lot. And she was standing at my china cabinet one day, and she was just looking. I mean, she's real little, and she's looking up there, and she says, "Nana, when you die, can I have your dishes?" And we've laughed about that.
You gave them to her, didn't you?
I gave them to her.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I sure did. I told her then, I said, "You sure can, baby." And I did. I gave them to her when she was grown.
And then there's the memory, I don't know if this is video worthy, but there's the time that me and Tony and Danielle went to the beach. It was actually our honeymoon, and I was pregnant with Bailey. And we took her with us, and we went to Florida. And I didn't know it until later, but Tony was videoing with they had the big video cameras, and he was holding it, and Danielle and I were in the ocean, and he was videoing us, I thought. And then I went back later and looked at the tapes, and it was hilarious because you see him, he's looking at us and getting us on film, but then a real pretty lady in a bikini walks by, and you see the camera go like this, and he's like zooming in on her butt, and that's typical Tony. And everybody dies laughing about that because we didn't know it at the time, and then I went back and watched it, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That was typical Tony.
Yeah. And she was my first granddaughter. She was my first granddaughter. And she did not let there's what, 4 now? 4 granddaughters now.
Mm-hmm.
And she has never let them forget it because she was the only granddaughter at the time. And she said, "Nana, am I your favorite?" And I said, "Yes, you are, baby. You are my favorite." And she tortured the rest of the grandchildren through those years. She would tease them, and she would say, "That is my Nana. I am her favorite."
She probably still says that to
She
him,
does.
truth be told.
She does. She does. At times she'll say, "I'm Nana's favorite. I've always been Nana's favorite." And I said, "You silly thing. You was the only one then. So yeah, you were my favorite. I love you."
She tells them all that, just so you know.
So she was. She rubbed it in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She was rotten. She's still rotten.
Yep.
It's our fault,
Yeah, it's our fault.
but we love it. I'm glad we did it. I don't regret anything.
Mm-mm.
Okay, sweetheart. This is your day. Yours and Josh's day. You know I love you. I have always loved you. I love Josh. Uh, I'll always love him. I wish you to. I hope you live to be 100 years old and you can share the memories with your maybe children and grandchildren.
And tell
Through-
stories about your mama and your nana.
Yeah, tell stories about your mama and your nana and the things that we've done to you, and whether it was fun or aggravating or whatever. Wish you happiness always. Just if you have, I think I've already said this before to you and him. If you have a problem with each other, my best advice is talk to each other. Don't go talk to everyone else about it. Talk to each other. Always try to work things out between you two, because it's not just one after today. I mean, it's not two after today. It will be one. And the one is you and Josh. You come first. You put you all first. I love you both dearly.